Ever wish you could, like, really see Jesus? Not just like, a picture in a book, but like actually see him.
Hmm.
That's what we're diving into with this Elder Daines talk. Sir, we would like to see Jesus from a recent general conference.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and it got me thinking about this whole idea of, well, seeing Jesus. What does that even mean?
Yeah, well, and he starts out with this really interesting concept.
Oh,
Face blindness.
face blindness.
Yeah. And now he doesn't mean like the actual,
Yeah.
medical condition.
Yeah.
Although he does share this really powerful story
Hmm.
about this soldier who, after a head injury, couldn't recognize his own wife's face.
Wow.
Just heartbreaking, right?
Yeah.
But he uses it to get at this idea of spiritual face blindness.
Okay, so unpack that a little bit. What's he talking about there?
Basically, that we can get so caught up in the rules, the rituals, all the things we're supposed to do,
Right.
that we miss the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're so focused on the letter of the law that we forget about the loving being behind it all.
It's funny you should say that because I think we've all had those moments where you get so caught up in the shoulds that,
Yeah.
you kind of miss the forest for the trees.
Totally. And what I thought was really brave was that Daines admits he struggled with this too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he tells the story about how for a long time he just saw his own mother as like a rule maker,
Interesting.
always setting boundaries. And it wasn't until later that he was able to see past that to like her heart,
Wow. That's really powerful that he's willing to be that vulnerable,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it makes you realize that this isn't just some abstract concept. It's something that, like you said, we all probably grapple with to some degree or another. But then that leads to the question of, okay, so let's say we resonate with this idea of spiritual face blindness. What do we do about it?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
And luckily, Daines doesn't just leave us hanging.
So he gives us that starting point of spiritual face blindness. But how do we actually get to a point where we can see Jesus?
Well, he points to this moment in the Bible
Okay.
where these people actually ask to see Jesus.
Interesting.
And I feel like that's such a human thing to ask, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's like we can try to be good, follow all the rules, but deep down,
You want to experience it.
yes, you want that connection. Like, show me something real.
It's that I want to see it to believe it kind of thing.
Exactly. And Daines makes the point that everything we do in church, all those activities, meetings, lessons, should all come back to this.
Helping you see Jesus.
Yeah, helping people see and love Jesus more.
Which, like, on the surface seems kind of obvious.
Right?
But I guess when you really think about it, are we always doing that?
That's the thing.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, right?
It's easy to check boxes instead of having that genuine encounter.
Right.
So it's like Daines is saying, hold on, let's look at our lives through this lens.
Okay. I like that. So it's almost like a measuring stick. Like,
Oh.
is this bringing me closer to Christ? Is
Oh,
this...
totally, yeah. Is this the point? Or am I just distracted?
It's so easy to get distracted. But then, okay, so that's a good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, how do we do that? What are some things people can do?
He gives a few really practical steps. Like the first one is cultivating charity.
Okay, so being charitable,
Mhm.
and he doesn't just mean, like, giving money.
No, it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
He talks about praying with all the energy of your heart.
Oh, wow.
It's like not just saying the words, but really yearning to feel God's love.
So it's more about that internal change, like really feeling it in your soul
Yeah.
versus,
Yes, exactly. Going beyond just intellectually believing it.
wow, I like that. Okay, so cultivating charity, that's one. What else?
The next one is immersing ourselves in the Gospels.
Okay, so like actually reading the scriptures.
Yes, but like really experiencing them.
What do you mean by that?
Like, read them as if for the first time. Pay attention to how Jesus interacts with people, especially those who are overlooked or cast aside.
I think one of the most powerful examples he gives is the story of Jesus healing the leper.
Oh, yeah.
Because back then, lepers were totally ostracized.
Right, completely seen as untouchable.
Right, and Jesus just reaches out and heals him. Like, no hesitation.
It's such a pure expression of compassion.
Yeah, and Daines says it's like, we can get so caught up in judging and deciding who's worthy and who's not.
Yeah, we put people in boxes.
Exactly. But God's love doesn't work that way.
Not at all. It's limitless. It's for everyone.
Okay, so that's charity. Diving into the Gospels, what's the third thing?
The third one, and this is where it gets really interesting, is embracing covenants.
Okay, covenants. I feel like that word can be kind of loaded for people.
For sure, like here come the rules again.
Right, exactly.
But Daines reframes it. He says covenants are the shape of God's embrace.
Whoa, okay, hold on. Now that is beautiful. That totally changes things, doesn't it?
Right. It's not about being restricted, it's about being held.
It really is. That whole idea, it just makes you think about covenants in a whole new light.
Totally. And then he takes it even further.
Uh-huh.
He talks about how, like, when we're trying to live these covenants, serving in the church, it's like joining a work party.
A work party?
Yeah. In the river of God's love.
Okay, now that is an interesting metaphor.
Right.
So the river of God's love, what does he mean by that?
So basically he's saying that God's love is this powerful force.
Right.
And it's always flowing out into the world.
Right.
But sometimes there are obstacles, you know?
Like what?
Like our own selfishness, our pride, our fear, all those things that prevent us from, like, really experiencing that love and sharing it with others.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
So when we serve in the church, when we try to live those covenants, it's like we're joining this work party to clear out the channel, you know?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So we're all working together to help that love flow more freely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he says everyone's invited to the party.
I love that. So it doesn't matter, like, where you're at.
It doesn't matter.
If you've messed up or whatever.
It doesn't matter. There's a place for you in that river.
That's a really beautiful thought. And I think it speaks to this idea that we all have something to offer.
We all have gifts, yeah.
Even if we don't always see them ourselves.
Exactly. And when we come together and we each do our part,
that's when things really start to happen.
That's when that love can really flow.
Wow. So to kind of bring this all together, it seems like Elder Daines is really encouraging us to go deeper in our faith.
Totally. It's not just about going through the motions, you know?
It's about really experiencing it, like feeling that love, that connection with Christ.
Yes. And then letting it transform us.
So it's not enough to just know about Jesus. It's about truly knowing him. And that's a lifelong journey.
Absolutely.
And I think it starts with recognizing his face, not just in the scriptures,
right,
but in the people around us.
Yeah. Seeing him in the people we meet every day.
You know, as we're wrapping up here, that image that really sticks with me is the one of covenants as the shape of God's embrace.
Oh, it's so good.
Because it reminds us that we're not alone on this journey, right? Like, we're held within this love that's bigger than we can even imagine.
And that no matter what we do, no matter how many times we mess up,
we're still held.
We're still held. His love is always there.
That's a really powerful thought to end on. Well, folks, that's it for this deep dive into, Sir, we would like to see Jesus.
Such a great talk.
It really is. We hope you found it insightful and maybe even a little bit challenging.
Yeah. We want you thinking about these things.
Exactly. So until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.